And we're back with Bill Symes of the CGRA, the Columbia Gorge Racing Association. Before the break, I mentioned I want to talk to you about One Design boats. What exactly is that?
One Design just means that all the boats are the same design. Big boats often race on a handicap basis because there aren't many that are the same. So they have to have handicaps so they can race together, and then they correct the time and determine a winner that way. In small boats, generally the racing is among boats of the same class. Boats are exactly the same. They're the same length, sail area. Oftentimes they're all built by the same builder, and that way it's level racing. It's the first person to finish is the winner.
So you level the playing field from the very beginning.
Exactly.
So everybody's working with the same equipment and same amount of crew, which, by the way, how many people are on one of these boats?
The boats that sail at CGRA vary from single-handers. We have Optimus dinghies for the kids, which is an 8-foot pram, single skipper. Lasers, which is the Olympic men's and women's single-handed class. And then double-handers, 505s, 49er skiffs, 29er skiffs. These are all the name of One Design classes.
Okay.
And then some larger boats, J24 classes, 24-foot sloop that sails with a crew of 5. So that would be the largest boat that sails with us.
Okay. And then sailing, it started thousands of years ago, or originated thousands of years ago, and primarily was it the Phoenicians that started it, and it was a way for them to transport around on the Mediterranean. Is that accurate?
Right. Yeah, I think people generally consider the Phoenicians around 4,000 years ago to have developed the first sailing boats. And they used it to trade around the Mediterranean, carry cargo and things around. And sailing, of course, was the only way to power boats on the sea until about 150 years ago.
Okay. And is that about when it started becoming more of a recreational, sailing became more recreational versus just for commerce?
Sure. After steam engines and then later diesel engines came into use, sailing was no longer commercially viable, and from that point on it became more of a recreational thing.
Okay. So the Industrial Revolution really changed sailing.
I think you could say that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but GPS, and everything's computerized anymore. And so now there used to be, I think you even referred to it as called celestial navigation. Celestial, yeah. Thank you, navigation, and then also dead reckoning. And what were those, as far as, give us some context, and then what you guys use now?
Right. Well, in the days before GPS, you had to calculate your position using the stars or the sun or some other landmarks that you could measure and figure out from that where you were on the globe. Early on, sailors used dead reckoning, which was simply trying to keep track of how fast you were going, in what direction, and then try and plot from that where you were at any time.
Okay.
Obviously that wasn't very accurate, but that's how Columbus found America, so it worked.
Yeah.
Later on, I guess in the 16th, 17th century, celestial navigation was developed, and then sailors could plot their position from star sites and sun sites. And that's still used.
Okay.
People still use that. And if your GPS goes on the fritz, you better know how to do it.
Yeah. So is it something that, I know, if you fly airplanes, you have to, get a private pilot's license, and if you drive a car, you got to have a driver's license. To be in charge basically of one of these boats, is there any kind of licensing that has to happen, or?
Well, for commercial skippers, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly commercial skippers all have to be licensed, and they have to know all that stuff.
Okay.
For recreational sailors, I mean, there are some certification programs, but basically anybody who wants to can get in a boat and sail away.
Okay. How did you personally get involved in it? What brought you into sailing?
Well, I got started when I was about 10 years old. My dad bought a little dinghy, and I started sailing off the beach and been sailing ever since.
Yeah.
I was hooked. I think some people are.
Yeah, and you've competed nationally and internationally, is that right?
Right. Yeah, I started racing when I was about 12.
Okay.
And have raced pretty much ever since in many, many different classes.
Okay. But never took it to like a professional level as far as tried to make a profession out of it?
No, I didn't. I kind of reached a crossroads when I was in college. I had friends that went into sailing as a profession. Usually in those days you became a sailmaker, and that was the way you made a living at it. Today, people get paid just to crew on big boats.
Right.
The America's Cup and the Volvo Around the World race and many other big sailing events have attracted professional sailors. So you can make a living at it, and there are several professionals that live out in the gorge.
Yeah. So you've always just kept it pleasure instead of mixing business with pleasure, so to speak.
It's been mostly pleasure.
Yeah, mostly pleasure. Oh, good. Well, we're going to continue the conversation after this break. You guys will be right back. Don't go anywhere.